Welcome back, guys, to episode 3 of Challenge Chats. Here with Cameron Root. I'm Kevin Anderson, sales consultant and motorsports director for Ron Tonkin Gran Turismo, the official Ferrari dealer of Portland, Oregon. Welcome, Cameron.
Thank you, Kevin.
Yeah, I'm excited for this episode, man. We got a lot to talk about.
Lots to unpack here.
Yeah, life's busy, and so we're going to be talking about 2 weekends this episode. So we have Cota, and then most recently we were at Road Atlanta.
Yeah, so you got to kind of get 2-for-1 action-packed episode.
Yeah, and it is action-packed. There's like a lot of fun stuff that happened on both weekends.
Too much, yes. Lots. I'm excited to share it all.
Yeah.
We got a little different background this time.
Yeah. Tell us about this car. You know it very well.
Yeah, I'd say this is where it all began. This was I got really lucky. I've known Paravine, my wife, since she was 14, I was 15. And when she was 16 years old and we were best friends and dating, she told me she'd get me a Ferrari by the time I was 35 years old. And for our 8-year wedding anniversary, she surprised me, told me we were going to see a difficult client, and instead she surprised me with the cashier's check, and we wound up a Ferrari dealer. And so I got to design that car, and this car came right after my 35th birthday, and that's what it says engraved there. Happy 35th birthday, Cameron.
Yeah, that's like, what amazing timing.
Yeah,
such a long-term goal, and then it arrives right after your 35th.
Yeah, thank you, Paravine, for making it happen. I thank her all the time still, even when we were in it earlier today.
Yeah.
So, I absolutely love this car, and it's kind of where the trajectory took off. I used to use my wife's BMW in some local little track days, but this kind of definitely took us to the next level.
Yeah.
From anywhere from local events.
Where it all started.
Yeah, to doing autocross.
Yeah.
To,
how many miles do you have on it now?
I'm probably around 13,500 is my guess. Maybe almost 14,000.
Getting up there. It's a lot.
Up there for Ferrari.
You drive it. I mean, that's up there for Ferraris. I feel like a lot of Ferraris, like, you'll see them, they're, 10, 15 years old and they have maybe 10,000 miles on them.
Yeah, so I feel like I'm doing good. I feel like if we live somewhere different, not the Pacific Northwest, I'd have more miles on it too.
Yeah.
Great vehicle, just not a great vehicle in the rain. It's, not your go-to.
Yeah, it's got the wet mode,
Yeah, the wet. And let me just say, anyone who's, ever thought about driving this car in the rain, yeah, wet mode's the way to drive it, and then it's no longer fun. So, in any other mode, you're about to go wreck your car. I remember I took my barber for a joyride right when I got this, because I've been hyping him up, like, I'm buying this car. And finally came, and it was just got done raining, and I spun a 180 within the first 30 seconds of giving a joyride.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, yeah, we are now putting in wet mode. And luckily the car stayed in one piece. Yeah. But yeah.
Lucky. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's been a great time, but I was able to design that car 99% of it in the first sitting. I feel like I knew exactly what I wanted. It's real classic, like 90s Ferrari. So
yeah. Rosso Corsa with the tan interior.
I went for Italian luggage, gold rims too.
Yeah. I love it.
Yeah,
can't go wrong with that.
Yeah, every time I go in my garage and I see it, I'm like, man, that's such a good looking car. I have to remind myself I designed it. You should feel that way. And
pat myself on the back.
Yeah, but I know that you and I were having a little conversation off camera, and we were talking about a car we'd both mutually seen online the other day, and Ferrari should almost intervene on some people's specs.
There's definitely some ones where it's like
what color was it? It was a green
with red interior.
Yeah, it was bad, man. I guess you can't buy class, but at least you're creative. Good for building a 101. No one would ever build that car.
They love it. They love it. That's all that matters.
But I'll land the plane here, and we'll try to come back into the chat here. So
let's talk about Cota.
Austin, Texas.
Yes.
Yeah. Circuit of Americas, right?
That was amazing being there.
Very cool track. Let's talk about just that track. I don't know, for those who don't know about it, Kevin, you want to tell them about the track?
I mean, I've never driven it, but I mean, it's like from the ground up Formula One track. So it has amazing corners, all the safety, tons of places to watch from, like huge facility. Like I was like walking around so much
It's like
because
kind of like Disneyland, like just a huge complex. It's
yeah,
really hard to grasp how large it is. And you're not just gonna go, oh, I'm gonna go walk over and view this. It's where you're gonna like grab one of the golf carts or actual
drive over.
vehicle and drive
Did
there.
you go up into the tower
I wish
at
I would
all on the
have.
weekend?
No.
Oh my god. It was really cool, but so scary at the same time. Like you go up on this platform, I don't know how tall it is. I mean, it's probably at least, you
Hundreds
know,
of feet.
300 feet tall.
Yeah.
And it's this platform just like hanging out off the edge of this tower, and there's a large section of it that is glass. The floor is glass. So you're just like up in this huge tower, hundreds of feet in the air, and you just see nothing below you. I couldn't stand there. I stood on there for a minute and I was like, oh, I'm out. And just like went off to the sides where there's like solid concrete below you.
I remember you were shivering and you were like up there in like shorts and a t-shirt and it was very windy.
Yeah. Yeah. It was kind of like a cold-ish overcast day.
Yeah.
And everybody else up there had like beanies on, coats, like, yeah, just bundled up.
They're
Like
prepared.
Thomas was up there in a beanie, like in a coat, bundled up, like super warm.
Yeah.
And I was up there, yeah, I was in a t-shirt. And they're like, man, are you freezing? And I was like, well, I don't know. I'm from Oregon, so it's not that bad.
It's not that bad. So what is your Instagram handle? Because you had some great footage from up there if anyone wants to try to find
uh,
that.
RTGT Mr. Kevin O. Anderson.
There you
So
go.
post,
RTGT, Mr. Kevin O. Anderson. So
yeah,
go out there, find it. You can see some really cool footage from up in the bridge. It looks drone-esque.
yeah. I know. I was working hard to get some good shots from up in the tower.
Yeah, I thought
So
Harbor maybe came down to Texas, right? So got some good shots. So but go check that out. It was amazing. Just kind of double back on the racetrack too.
yeah,
Amazing. Again, Kevin touched on it being a Formula One track. It was the only ground up Formula One track built in the United States. So yeah, we have the Miami. Now we have Vegas coming up, but those are street circuits that are
yeah.
not a F1 track. Yes, we have F1 racing here. Even like we have Montreal coming up. Again,
Street circuit.
street circuit. So an actual F1 track. It's very cool. They took a lot of the best portions from different tracks around the world and incorporated into there. So it's real technical, high speed, very safe. Even during my practice session, I spun out big time going backwards, over 100 miles an hour, and I didn't hit a wall. So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. There's like very few places where that track where you can go off and hit a wall. So that's really nice, unless you feel more free to go like really push the limits.
yeah,
So yeah, the like immediately the thing that shocked me when I was just arriving at the track, because I'd never been to Coda before,
yeah,
was rolling up, and when you're going to the track, the first thing you see is the turn one.
yes, up the
And
hill.
I've watched races at Coda before, and I'm like, oh yeah, turn one, it's kind of like a little bit uphill. But when you are there in person, you're like, oh my god, this is like really tall, steep incline going up to turn one.
Yes. So let's talk about turn one because I think it's cool to give people a little insight into it from a driver's perspective. You're flying out of turn 20, going into turn one, which is a huge straightaway at Circuit of the Americas, but it goes uphill. So you can actually brake a lot later than you think because you're going uphill and you have the G forces. You'll
Yeah.
actually feel like a bump in the asphalt. And right after that, so when you just slam because it's like you're
Yeah, if you're
using
going
a, 'cause,
uphill,
like,
you can get way more grip. So
and the compression of it dropping, and so you're just slamming all your weight on there, and you can
yeah, when I was
really break.
watching the races, and people around me too, like we're all just like, oh my god, like I can't believe how late they're breaking into turn one.
Yeah,
How fast are you guys going into turn one?
I'm not looking at the speedometer. I don't know, maybe around 150 ish. But yeah, I mean, you're hammering the brakes, and then you're coming into a very wide corner that comes narrow. So at the start of the race, everything backs up coming into there, so it comes a lot of different strategy.
Yeah,
Um, I was really blessed. If you guys ever want to watch any of these races, you can go to YouTube and type in Ferrari Challenge. I'd type in Circuit of the Americas, and we're in the Copa Shell division. You type in race one or race two, it'll pop right up. But yeah, right in the very first race, I mean, I went wide where everyone was stacking. It was clearly the better line, and it's fun to just look at the different ways to play that. But I want, as we're talking about corner one, then you come into kind of like a downhill straightaway, and that's corner two. And it's very uncomfortable. And this is kind of a men from the boys type of separator, is who can keep their foot in the gas all the way through that.
Turn two is like a flat out corner.
You can almost, you're about 90% there. And so just be able to even push it there, it feels super unnatural, feel like you're going to fly off the track. I mean, you're going pretty fast, and that's another way of pushing yourself. And it, during practice, I kept feeling so uncomfortable, but they were convincing me that's where all the time I could be able to make up. I mean, it's up to almost a second lap difference of how hard you're able to push into there.
Yeah, and then like coming around turn two, if you're carrying a lot of speed through there, then you come into the S's, right?
Yes.
And that's another part where I'm sure you can either make or break your lap there by carrying speed through the S's.
Absolutely. You're not going to pass anybody there. I did. Don't do that. That was to my demise. I gave that spot 2 spots back instantly. So, but yeah, it's totally about just keeping rhythm. So we got to jump into the first race a little bit because
Yeah. So the first race, you qualified 5th, right?
5th place, and I was not super happy with my qualifying time. It wasn't bad, it wasn't great, but we were trying to do just as few laps as possible.
Yeah.
So, maybe I should have done one more lap. Maybe I could have gotten a better position, but luck was on my side because I had 5th place.
Yeah.
And I wasn't too happy about that. And they're like, no, actually, somebody forgot to go to tech. So it pushed me up to 4th place. That person had to start all the way in last place. So it took me from starting on the 3rd row
bumped that far back
to getting on the 2nd row. And it was instantly just a huge game changer.
Yeah.
So like I was saying, right into turn one, I was able to go wide and then carry that momentum down and through. And it's one thing to do it in practice and you think, oh, I can barely do it. When you're in race mode, there is something about your adrenaline. Places you would never like floor it, you're just pedal to the metal. You know what I'm saying? Like you don't even care. You're not even thinking about it. You were in just pure race mode, even though you could never do that by yourself when you got like another 20 cars all coming to that corner.
In the zone.
Oh, yeah. It's so fun. I mean, but you was able to kind of come in there too. I was able to now jump in my 3rd spot there around, and I was able to push it and gain one more spot by the 4th corner. But I just had too much speed. I should have broke, and that's where I hit one of the turtles or bumps going into the corner and totally knocked my car off rhythm.
Oh yeah.
Actually, I have a photo of you see my car in the air, 2 of the wheels in the air, coming out of that, and that's what made me add to drive through the corner and then regain the track, and I gave it my 2 spots. And then I was going really hard the next lap. I caught those guys going into, again, turn one. I tried going wide, and they have these huge, again, turtles, these huge bumps, and you're not supposed to go over them. You're supposed to either go around them.
They're meant to, like, if you go over them, they may or may not break your car.
Right. And so I'm in like full out race mode. What do I do? I'm going over them. And it totally broke something on my car. I don't remember what. I think it's the control arms.
Yeah, I think you had to replace a control arm after the race.
I was kind of stuck in 4th place. It was in a bad spot. So I was unable to gain the cars ahead of me by trying to push too hard, by breaking that. But then the other cars were far enough back where I wasn't having to compete for a position. And my coach, Thomas, great guy, he had asked me, he does a lot of endurance racing, if I wanted to try this energy balm. Horrible idea. I'm caffeine sensitive. And, I just took like this paste, tastes like vanilla, no big deal, drink some water. And then like 5 minutes into the race, 10 minutes in the race, like I'm clearly in 4th place. I'm in purgatory because I'm not advancing. No one's coming. I started having this caffeine like overload where my body's like sweating. I'm so hot. I can't cool down. I'm literally like trying to get my window open, cup air during the race. Like I know I'm not winning it, and I was losing my mind. Yeah, I was full out just sweating, and I wanted out of that car. It was horrible. It was like the worst experience.
I didn't know that you were struggling with that.
Yeah, it was.
I didn't know at all.
The worst thing that ever happened. It's been a motivator. I've lost 9 pounds since then. Like I'm gonna be in better shape. I need to make sure I don't want that ever happen. I'm never drinking a bunch of caffeine before a race ever again.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a horrible idea. Yeah, thanks, Thomas.
Yeah.
But speaking of Thomas, great coach. When I was talking about, I went through turn 2, then turn 3 and 4, got my positions in second place. He saw me get a little wild, out of control, helped me rejoin, and instantly all radio communication was cut. So
That's so good.
you prepare Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, you qualify Saturday. Saturday's finally the race. They forget to charge the walkie-talkie.
Oh, no.
The main thing I'm communicating with, I have nothing, and you always like wonder like how I know my coach helps me, but
Yeah.
like to what extent is the coach really
In your ear,
in your
helping you.
ear? Oh my gosh, I was like a wild pony who escaped their owner, just tearing around the arena.
What the announcers call you? They called you the gunslinger.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they said it's the gunslinger versus the surgeon. They're talking me and Cyril Chotsky, two different driving styles. He was smooth operator, and I'm a little more
You're
wild
just
out
flying
there.
all over the place.
You know what they said? Sometimes the Cowboys win, though. So this gunslinger. But I was being a gunslinger out there when Thomas. I'm only 4 turns into it. I'd gained 2 positions, lost those 2. I'm driving like a madman. Thomas isn't there to calm me down.
He's
Saying,
not there to
Cameron,
be like, hey, chill.
I need someone to shake me. Go, you're not going to win the race in the first 30 seconds. It's a 30-minute race, and I'm trying to win it in the first 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Let alone almost basically lose the race. Essentially, I needed someone to shake me. So I had like a good 15 minutes without him. I'm going through this whole caffeine issue. I had no one helping me.
No radio.
I damaged my vehicle because I'm being an idiot out there. I need it. Thomas, I needed you, man. I honestly believe I end up 4th place in this race. I really believe in my heart I would have for sure at least got 3rd place if I would have had him just telling me not to be an idiot. Like just someone like, calm down, take a deep breath, a little strategy here. So huge difference that Thomas makes.
Yeah.
And it was personally really disappointing because I actually had, and you saw a lot of family and friends there.
Yeah.
I think we had like 11 or 12 different people.
Yeah, you had like a big group of friends and family that came out for the Cota race.
Right. In Miami, we got 2nd the first race, 1st the second race. So expectations had now been risen. And getting 4th,
high expectations.
Right. Now getting 4th place was just so defeating. Again, I've been lucky to finish on the podium 5 out of 6 races, but that was so defeating getting 4th place, just
yeah.
right
it's
there.
Like you're always gunning for first place, and then if you don't, you're like,
yeah.
And then you're like, what could I have done differently? All these things replaying in your mind.
It was definitely. So I came in with on Sunday, then like new mindset. I kind of just clear the bad juju. Come make sure Thomas's walkie-talkie's charged. We rewatched the race. Now he's in my ear. What I could have done differently, and we ran a real clean race. I felt like we had a game plan. We stuck to it.
Well, on Sunday you qualified a little bit better too.
Yeah, I qualified a little better. I think I started 3rd in the qualifying, and literally the guy who him and I were back and forth, and this actually happened after the 3rd race. My rival Cyril Chotsky actually leapfrogged me. I was the points leader, and then he had finished better than I did. I think he finished like somewhere on the podium because I finished 4th, and he leapfrogged me. He was leading the series by 1 point
after Saturday, right?
After Saturday, and I was so frustrated. So just went in there, clean, calm, and I was just following Cyril, not trying to be crazy. And
I
remember
started the race 3rd, and he started 2nd, right?
2nd, yeah. And I remember within the 2nd lap, I was right on him, and it was maybe make him feel a little uncomfortable. I could see how his car was twitching. And I even told my guys, I'm like, he's going to wreck. I can tell. And within 2 laps later, he wrecked. And, sorry, Cyril. Yeah, just put the pressure on him. And he, it ended up.
That's racing, though.
That's racing. I didn't touch him, but yeah,
that
pressure was there. And he ended up spinning off, getting back on the track, and up spinning out again. And he wound up getting last place as a result. And,
Which was good for you, the gap and the points.
That points was huge. And again, it was just real clean race. There was one guy I'd never raced against. He finished 1st in both races. His name's Gray. I forget his last name, but younger guy, great driver. And I could tell he must have spent a lot of time on the simulator. And he knew that track very well. I was in a position where maybe I could have gone with the last lap. wasn't worth pushing it.
Yeah, you don't want to push it in
Just
red.
kept a clean second place. It was great for points. I was able to leapfrog myself dramatically in the points. And that's kind of how Coda went. So, and
Yeah.
I was able to finally celebrate with my family.
Yeah, that was good. Sunday, getting on the podium. That was fun celebrating with all your friends and family.
Yeah, it was
For
nice.
sure.
I still wish I would have got first, but I'm happy with getting
Yeah.
second place.
Everybody was proud of you.
It was good. It was a big learning lesson. So, yeah, Circus Americas was awesome.
Yeah. Yeah,
Big
that was
check
really
mark.
fun.
Yeah. So, if you ever anyone who watches happens to play like video games or sim, go try Circuit Americas. And then we're about to transition to Road Atlanta. I highly recommend Road Atlanta. Totally different course. I think
Yeah.
it's a good transition point to kind of explain the differences.
Well, and when we left Coda, you left Coda weekend with an 11-point lead, right?
I believe so. Yes,
I
that's
think, if
correct.
I remember correctly, I think it was 11 points.
Yes.
And then, so Road Atlanta.
Road Atlanta, let me tell you, badass racetrack. I liked Coda. I thought that was really cool with that flow. Road Atlanta, totally different. They kind of call it like the last of the old school racing tracks.
Yeah, old school, and that, like, if you mess up, you're gonna pay the consequences.
Right. And I think last time when we were doing the challenge chats, I had previously tested there, and I had talked about, like a normal person, a crazy person driving, and there's like an insane level to drive at. And that's what it is. It's all about high consequence. If you go off the track, there is a wall waiting for you. And it's very frustrating, because I did see a lot of cars get damaged. And I, even myself, I went off the track during practice.
Yeah, little impact. They
Well,
fixed it
little
mostly.
impact there, but again, fresh tires coming out of I just touched the tires and just instantly 180, and I just was on morning grass and I just slid into the wall.
Yeah, during the practice one.
Yeah.
Which, like, luckily though, I mean, it's like that was glancing blow, so it was just kind of
just easy 10 grand.
all surface damage. I didn't say it was cheap. I didn't say it was
Minor
cheap.
flesh wound. Yeah, no. It's just how bad is the wreck with Ferraris is the question. Yeah, so I guess I got out pretty lucky, all things considered. But coming from Circuit of the Americas, watching that guy who got back-to-back podiums, it's real obvious he put in the work on the sim. So when I got back from Austin, Texas, at home, I put in a lot of work personally.
Yeah, a lot of time on this.
A lot of time. It was great to do the testing, but actually, I got the PS5 VR goggles and I had on Gran Turismo
Nice.
7, and I felt they have a GT3 Ferrari race car, so I felt like I'm in my car. I can look all around it. I'm driving. I got a direct drive steering wheel and a play seat and pedals, and you feel like you're in the car. And I spent so much time in that car to get really comfortable with that track.
Yeah.
And for anyone that's on the local area, it's kind of like Pete's Mountain if they built a racetrack around there. It's a nice hilly area, and there's a lot of crazy blind corners.
Yeah, lots of blind corners.
Blind corners, hills. I mean, even the back, and I explained that the back straightaway, you go around up to about 170 and it just drops down. You can't see what cars, and then it goes into another S up a huge hill that's blind, and it goes off camber, and then you start the fun again.
Down right-hander onto the front straight. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was fun watching. I wish you at Road Atlanta you could see more of the track from any one particular vantage point.
Yes.
But it was fun watching from the hospitality suite and you would just come down, go flying around, turn 12 and then onto the front straight. So you can definitely tell like that's a really fast corner, and like, a lot of the other corners at Road Atlanta, there's a wall right there on the left side as you're exiting the track. So it's like, carry as much speed as you can, but don't go off.
Yeah, and you can barely thread that needle. And the more your tires get worn, the harder that gets while maintaining that same commitment.
Yeah.
So talking about Road Atlanta, so came in there very well prepared. My best friend came over. Thank you, John, on Sunday, and we played on my simulator. Logged between him and I almost 500 miles that day of just driving. So I mean, if you're racing 500 miles, It's a lot. I mean, mentally, you're racing, to nowhere. So it's like going on a 500-mile road trip can feel a little crazy on a video game, especially
Yeah.
when you're on the VR, your eyes, you have like eye drops you're adding in your eyes and stuff like that. Uh, no motion sickness. But yeah, I mean, a big commitment. But when I got there on Saturday, I felt on top of the world. I felt so prepared because I'd already been there
Yeah,
once.
I feel like the way you performed on Saturday, like killed it. Like qualifying,
Yeah.
crushed everybody.
Well, Crush, and that's why I wanted to jump all the way back to practice on Wednesday. That's when you have the coaches driving and the challenge driver, so you don't know anyone's times. And, there's 4 different divisions, and we were able to kind of reverse engineer who was driving and who wasn't. And I'm 99.9999% sure that I had the fastest lap time on Wednesday out of all 4 categories.
Damn.
And so I was really proud of that.
Yeah.
And I learned kind of like a life lesson. I was bragging to the race director, Matt, I'm the fastest guy on the track. And then on Thursday, I'm out there with my coach. My coach goes and throws a blistering 1:22 lap time. They thought I did it. But again,
Yeah.
coaches,
Yeah.
drivers
Yeah.
could be doing it. Thursday night, they're calling Bobby G, the owner of MG1 Motorsports, the team I race under, and they're trying to move me up a division. They've already moved me up. The whole thing's supposed to already be set in stone after your first 2 races. And they saw that lap time. They were trying to move me up. And Bobby G literally had to say, hey, you don't know whose lap time is which. Let's wait till Friday where it's just the drivers, and we kind of
Smoothed it over.
with
Yeah.
them. And so thank you, Bobby, for keeping my class. I came in almost too prepared where they were trying to put me in a higher division.
Yeah.
I still think I would have done great in there. Great competition, but it's my first year. Even the guys I'm racing against have 40 plus races.
Yeah, most people start out their first year. They started in Copachel Am.
Right, and that's where I was supposed to be, and they bumped me up before it started, and then they're now talking about bumping
Too
me
fast.
up again. So I just want to, have 4 races under my belt before they throw me to the wolves here. So the goal is to try to win the world championship and the North America championship this year. So that's the goal. So the qualifying, like you're saying, on Saturday though, I end up throwing my fastest time. It was a 1:23.3, and that broke the track record for my division. So out of all the years they've been doing, for many years there, no one had ever been that fast. That record had been around since 2020, and I destroyed it. So
that was a really good lap time.
Yeah, so I'm very proud of it. So even if I'm sure next year I'll naturally get graduated to the next division, so I'll kind of have my mark hopefully on that. And good luck. Tip of the hat if anyone beats that, because that was a fast lap there. But yeah, so talking about Saturday, we got pole. That was the first time that we had actually gotten the P1, the pole position for qualifying. And that was the goal. You get an extra point as well.
Yeah.
You get an extra trophy.
That helped the whole weekend.
Right. So you get an extra point, you get a trophy, and then right after qualifying, you actually get to go do an interview with the broadcaster. So with Shay. And yeah, it's a cool experience.
It's fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's cool too for me and for like your family and friends that are there watching you race too. We're hanging out in hospitality, and then on all the TVs, your interviews on TV, and then it goes to like the, display of like, points, how people qualified, and then your pictures right up there. So it's just cool to see.
Yeah, let's say pole or leader in the points.
Pole position, and then puts all the lap times. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, spotlights on the pole position.
Very cool. And actually, and I'm just gonna rewind here a little bit. So in practice, I believe it was Thursday. It might have been Wednesday. I'm pretty sure it was Thursday. I had this guy just come up to me. I'm just getting out of my car. You can see a driver in his racing gear, and I'm like just getting in my car. I'm like, oh man, usually I don't have anyone there besides my own team. And the guy goes, I want to see the face behind the helmet. And I'm like, okay. Nice guy. His name is David Veronin, and he introduced himself, and he let me know that he sees my lap times, said I'm fast, and he directly said, I'm coming for you. And I'm like, wow, all right. That was super bold. David,
it's fun though.
Yeah, David is like a Ukrainian American mix. And you see he's flying both those flags on his car. And, he's definitely a type A personality, as a lot of people were. And I thought it was very bold of him. And it was extra
Yeah.
motivating. I'm like, who is this guy? Go find him. All right, he's third place in the points. He's right there. And he ended up being the one guy who had passed me in Cota. I'm like, okay, all right, I see this guy. And I knew in practice, like, this is the only guy I felt like was similar on lap time. So it was cool to play with David. And so David starts P2 on P1, and we have a great race. And I'm just,
You guys just checked out kind of from the rest of the field.
yeah, so it's basically David and I, at least at Road Atlanta. Some of
Yeah.
these other guys are right in our group. It just happened to just be David and I.
Yeah, you guys really seemed like Road Atlanta clicked with you guys both, because it was you two racing, and then it was like, look at your watch and see, and then okay, here comes the rest of the field.
Grab an espresso.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And so there was a big difference. So him and I were good competitors, and I was, like I said, there's something about race mode is different. I was going crazy fast around the racetrack. Minute 23.5 predicted lap time. I'm like at qualifying speeds during the race. After my first 3 laps, I built a good gap. My team, Thomas, said, I want you to run to minute 125 lap times, low 1 minute 25. So he wanted me to preserve my tires.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, because you got to make them last the whole race, and it's like you could go be thrown down blistering fast laps beginning of the race, but then if your tires start to fall off too hard by like minute 20 or something like that, you got 10 minutes of racing left, and it's somebody might be able to close the gap.
Right. So it was really uncomfortable from like finally like leading the race, like which I'd done in Miami, but to now them basically slowing me down while I'm leading the race. It felt very uncomfortable to like keep someone, because you're racing, but you're like keeping a guy like only a second behind you almost on purpose. And it felt very defeating, and it almost was like mentally breaking to keep me doing that for like 15 laps in a row.
Yeah.
And then we caught lapped traffic. Oh,
Yes,
did we catch lap
That's
traffic?
where we come into some drama.
This is where
Oh, God.
you can see why I wasn't 100% for this plan. Coming down over that hill that's blind and catching this lap traffic. This guy's going so slow. I'm like, I'm going to go around this guy
turn
wise.
12 onto the front straight.
And,
I
you're
saw him.
on it. And I literally have to hit the brakes, and I go to go wide. He goes wide with me. I'm like, shh. S, and then I'm gonna go to the right, and then here comes David. He saw it, and he'd already pinned it and carried his momentum past me down that straightaway. I was like, no, I could not believe it, because I had not been racing at my full potential, and I'm gonna get him. So him and I were now having like, I'm back. No one's holding me back. I can now re-race, going after David. I don't even have one full lap.
Yeah, it was
and
the next lap. Yeah,
the next lap. Double yellow flag. Someone got in a wreck, and they remained a full course caution for the rest of the race.
Yeah. So it's just so frustrating because, lap traffic, and it's just unlucky, right? Because I was watching it. The guy, the lap traffic person, he was kind of driving very slow, and he was just driving down the middle of the track. And then
it wasn't
he probably
right
saw you
left.
coming up in his mirrors, and he just makes a decision to start veering left, which is like at the outside of the track and on the racing line. And then you had already been like, all right, well, he's in the middle of the track. I have room. I'll go left, and that's more ideal. But then it was just the timing of it, and then he goes and just moves over, and saw you. You had to just like lift, or I guess you broke. You had to hit the brakes and just dove right really hard. And then David had already gotten a run, and he had already, he had more time to see what's going on ahead and assess it and like decide I'm gonna go right.
Yeah.
And so then I saw you, and like you kept it clean. You tried to like
I could cut him off.
You gave him a little bit of like trouble, but you also kept it clean because David had to go like all the way track right.
I could almost push him in the grass. He said I was going to get in the grass.
You almost pushed him in the grass. Yeah. Which would have been that's like okay.
It would have been fair, but it's not. It's gentleman
You're trying
racing.
To be clean. Yeah. Trying to be clean, which is good. But yeah, I mean, he just barely squeaked by. And that was just frustrating to see. Just because it's just like lap traffic. Come on.
Yeah, I think that's why it was so hard. And then I only had one full lap, if that, to really get him.
Yeah, and then somebody, it was like a 1 or 2 car wreck, and then
It was like
it was
11
just,
or 10 minutes left in the race. I mean, so
yeah,
there was
I think it
plenty of
was,
time, a third left in the race. And then
yeah,
just to see it just not possible to get back in there. And I had such a faster car. The car was so dialed. I
yeah,
feel it,
everything was dialed like magic on Saturday.
yeah, it was perfect. So it's hard for me not to feel like I'm robbed. I got one first place trophy. I feel like there should be two.
Yeah.
It is what it is. I'm listening to my team, not trying to do anything crazy. But yeah, that's like kind of like the one that got away in
I
my
feel like for
opinion.
sure, at least once this season, I feel like you'll have a perfect weekend. Pole position, fast lap, win the race on
Yeah,
Saturday and Sunday.
that's the goal. And yeah, we'll talk about Montreal. I don't even know how that's going to happen. That's difficult there.
Yeah.
And then race two, so
Race 2 on Sunday.
And by
Yeah.
the way, I was pumped up. I mean, I just want to say I was in the zone. I had my headphones going. I had Jock Jams 1997 Mega Mix going in. I'm all doing air punches. It was hot outside. I had like a cool towel over my head. And like, they do all the pageantry when they do the first race. They had all the Ferraris lined up. They're doing the, national anthem. There's
Yeah.
hundreds of people around the cars. I'm just I was ready. And then just feel like I had the reins held back on me and to lose that way.
Yeah.
That was the
Frustrating.
most difficult and previously in my first race, one of my teammates had gotten second and he was so distraught. I'm like, man, how could you be so distraught for getting second place? And then I was that guy.
Yeah. Now you're like, okay, now I understand
Yeah,
how
I
it is. Yeah.
understand it. Like I didn't even want to be around myself,
Yeah.
and everyone's so pumped just to get on the podium. So I feel like, I kind of dial it back a little bit, come in there refocused. But Sunday was a totally different game. Like I didn't have to qualify until I think like 11 o'clock, maybe even
Yeah.
later.
You guys
Was it
qualified.
one?
No, I don't think you qualified until like 1 o'clock or
Yeah, I think
something.
it was
It was
one
really
o'clock. It
late.
was
Yeah.
really late, qualified late, and it was a lot more hot and humid out. And I didn't know this, that my team threw some more wing in my car to deal with the humidity. And we're doing qualifying, and I did some decent times, but I was doing like minute 24s, not minute 23s. And they're like, yeah, David's, like a 123.8. And I'm like, God damn. So I'm pushing way harder the second day, like literally on the edge of like, about destroying this vehicle, trying to push
Yeah.
it that hard. And I got it on my very last lap. I got qualifying. I got P1 qualifying. And
Yeah. That was clutch.
yeah, so it was like the last lap. I think I did like,
That was very suspenseful to watch because we were
oh yeah.
we have it on the display in hospitality and just watching all of the lap times come in, and then qualifying was coming to a close, and you went around for one more lap, and they were saying like, all right, if as long as they cross the finish line before time is up in qualifying, then that flying lap counts.
Yes.
And then that's the lap that you did your qualifying pole position.
I had no more lap time. I did it. I used all 15 minutes basically of qualifying, which ruined my tires. Horrible on that strategy.
Yeah.
But I literally
Well,
did.
didn't you guys have to stop halfway through qualifying too?
No, I think that was the maybe we did. We did have to stop for one thing. I forget what that was for.
Some people, because you didn't go out right away.
I think
and
that's the
then-
recon lap. That's what I didn't do. That was a little that
okay.
was for the start of the race.
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, qualifying was way more difficult, and I feel like possibly it was the aero that the wing in the car. The car was definitely not as fast. I still got P1.
They gave you like more angle of attack, or they took some out.
I don't know. I would love to talk to JD about that.
Let's see what they do with
and
humidity and angle of attack.
I think this is also
Let's
what's
see.
trying to bring me back to become a better driver. Right now, I would say, hey, I tried everything in my power to get you that lap time. We got it. We got P1. Can we go back to how the car was yesterday? Because it was a way easier vehicle to drive. I mean, it was night and day difference. And that's where I need to lean on my experience to work with my team. Say, hey,
that's totally
let's
like
just go back to the other setup. Let's roll the dice.
Yeah,
because it would
That's totally like a driver development as a driver for yourself is, knowing what you want to do for the setup of a car.
Yeah.
If they make changes, and then you can feel what it's doing, where, if it's better or worse, and giving feedback.
Yeah, I feel I'm finding my voice in that. I think this is one of those learning experiences. But again, the start went great. We're out there leading the race again.
Yep. Yeah,
Right of the
kind of
gate,
felt just like
just
Saturday
just
race.
like Saturday again, except that they're not telling me to drive to a lap time. They can tell I'm struggling to maintain the lead or at least keep it. And my tires probably around, I don't know, around the halfway mark, about 15 minutes into the race,
It was about halfway through the race when
started to fall off. And it was really a lot hotter that day. So I'm running with my air conditioning on. I'm running, and I remember I switched over to traction. There's 4 traction settings, 0 through 4 or 1 through 4. I guess you could do, and then you have another one. But I put it. Usually I'm on 1-1. It's the lightest traction setting out there. It's like
yeah.
it doesn't delay you when you're coming out of the corner. I put mine to 2-1 because, which is really uncharacteristic of me. But I could feel like my tires were sliding so
Yeah, I
much.
just felt like it was just getting too unruly to handle with the way the
And
tires
David and I were
were.
having a great time. I'm in the lead. I got like a little over second gap. Things are going fine. But yeah, however, I came out of turn 7, which is the long straightaway.
Yeah, which is probably the most important corner on the
He
track.
got a better run out of there on me, and he told me he had to do everything to catch me. And he's very gracious. I mean, he gave me a lot of props in his interview. But he's told me he turned his air conditioning off. I know that like cuts out 30 horsepower right there. He said he had to do everything in his power. And you see, he just slowly gets me on that
Yeah, the
straightaway.
long
And I do
straightaway.
the same thing, like you're saying. I block
Yeah.
him once you're allowed to,
Yeah,
and then
yeah,
he
one
just
move, yeah.
and then he went around me, and he just had like 3 miles an hour, but such a long straightaway. He just slowly walked past me. He passed me, and just like race 1,
Yeah, it was
instead of 1
the
lap,
next lap or the
he
lap
got
after.
2 laps, and I'm on him. And we had half the race to go. Another accident, double yellow, except this time someone ends up going to the hospital and the race is over. And
Yeah,
so,
yeah, another race where it was just count you always hope that when they do the double yellows, like that they'll restart the race, which has happened.
oh yeah.
But yeah, Road Atlanta, both races, halfway through about someone crashed, yellow double yellows, full course, no passing, and then it finished under yellow. So then again, like on Sunday, you just didn't even have a chance to try and fight back to regain the lead.
Yeah, and then like we're doing the yellow, and I'm going down the back straightaway, and they're like, "Keep your tires warm." Everybody told me because I'm going so aggressive with my
Oh yeah,
tires. I
I
was
know what
just,
you're about to
what
say.
I'm saying, just laying down this black asphalt tire marks. I'm the only one doing it.
Yeah, I remember we were watching TV and we're like, "Oh my god, Cameron's swerving so hard that yeah, you're just like laying down S's down the straightaway, just laying rubber as you're
I was
weaving."
so ready for this restart. Everybody like, dude, you were gonna get him. Like, I mean, you could just tell I was so fired up, pent up from Saturday. This I couldn't believe this happened to me again. I'm like, I'm gonna get him. I'm just gonna go out there and
Yeah,
lay it all on the line. And I didn't get the chance. So between both weekends, I led the entire race. I would feel like I'd be generous to say he led 5 laps between both races. I think he had 3 leading laps. I led the race for all but 3 laps between both races combined,
yeah,
and then to get second both times, very frustrating. Walked away though again.
yeah.
But
Well, Saturday you get 15 points for first,
yeah,
12 for second,
right,
and then but on Saturday you had pole position, so you got a point there, and then you had fast lap of the race,
yes,
so you got another point there. So really, Saturday
14 points there.
you got 14 points, he got 15, and then Sunday pole position in second place. So then
13 points.
13
Yeah,
versus
and he took
15.
the
So
fastest lap. My team didn't tell me I had fastest lap, and then out of nowhere, of course, he got fastest lap on me.
yeah,
Nice failure, team. Would have been nice to know. But obviously, I'm a little salty over it. But I'm trying to be a more gracious loser. I think I like winning. I hate losing more than I like winning.
yeah,
But I feel very blessed. A lot of these guys have had many years, and they've only get on the podium very few times. So I am trying to stay cognizant of how good I am doing.
yeah. You're killing it, and now. Leaving Road Atlanta,
Yes.
Cota, you had an 11-point lead. Now leaving Cota, you have an 18-point lead.
Yeah, Road
So
Atlanta, 18-point lead. Yeah, so I think we're doing great. 18-point lead, and so this is a great segue into Montreal.
yep,
This is where we're heading is Montreal. So we are the support race for the Formula One,
yeah,
and
that's gonna be different.
totally different. There's gonna be 200,000 people there. It's gonna be probably a lot more mayhem as far as getting access to your car or friends and family being able to get to you. they're really proud of their 200 minutes that we are allowed on the track. I think they had 125 minutes last year.
Yeah.
Then this through 4 classes, so you have practice, qualifying, race all combined. So if it's like the last time they did it, we'll qualify, race, and then race 2, you were lined up based upon your points. So I'm already so ahead in the points. If they do that, I should already qualify P1 for the second race. Be interesting
Yeah.
to see how I do in the first race. It is. I'm doing this on my sim. It's a ghetto sim, I call it. But I'm using an F8 Tributo, and it is, and I'm using F122. That's what I'm using.
Yeah.
And it's difficult.
It's hairy track. I mean, it's another street circuit, so it's
It's very
another one with
slow.
lots of walls everywhere.
A lot of patience. There's walls. Yeah. And when you track out, it's always trying to push you right into these walls. Like I was telling you, the final turn is called the Wall of Champions. It's like where Michael Schumacher and 2 other champions, like 3 of the 4 champions, had basically wrecked their car into that wall before the finish line. And so,
Jeez.
yeah, it's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
Got some family coming out there, but I don't know how I feel either way. I've practiced and I don't feel that fast on the track. So I'm hoping I do better than I feel right now, and I'm just gonna try to continue to practice. And
Yeah. Well, you're getting practice there at the track too. That's gonna make a big difference.
you only
Like
get
actually
200
driving the
minutes
track.
though, and that's including racing, qualifying. So I think I'll be lucky if I have a 1 hour of practice.
Yeah. Well, and every other track too this year, every other track, you can go there and do like a whole, 2
Correct.
days of practice before you ever even go there.
Right.
Like, you practice at Miami, Road Atlanta, Cota, you
Yes.
practice at all those. Montreal is the one track all year where you guys cannot go practice there.
Yeah, so no one can practice, so that's equal. But the other thing is, a lot of these guys have already raced there previously,
Yeah.
so
So
they have
previous
that.
experience is going to be a big advantage.
Big time. So I'm just gonna try to keep a clean race. If you go watch any of those Ferrari Challenge in Montreal, you see they run all 4 classes at once, and
Yeah, which is going to make it even more interesting.
it's mayhem, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's like 60 cars on the track.
Yeah.
And I don't know if everyone's going to do Montreal, so we call it even 50 cars that are going to be on the track, but it still is going to be a lot. I saw a lot of wrecks on the one I did. Again, both races I watched
Yeah, I mean,
under caution.
Yeah, and thinking about it now too, like if they're going to be running all 4 classes at the same time,
Yeah.
it's going to be a lot more managing lap traffic too. you know?
Exactly. Lap traffic. So we'll see. My goal is to try to put like a car or 2 in between me, but you know how plans are. So yeah. Hopefully we'll have some a better update. Hopefully, we get a podium going on. A podium, that's obviously the goal. Maintain the points lead. And it'd be nice to add some more first place trophies if I want to talk a little selfishly.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I
can't blame you for one first
I'm
place.
not feeling overly confident on this track. I'm not saying, and I have more respect for these F1 drivers too, who have to keep flipping to these tracks every weekend and compete at such a high level. So
I know, it's crazy, especially when you start thinking about. Ooh, we're good.
Keep going.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, you think it's kind of crazy about the Formula One cars. They're so much harder to drive, so much faster, and the accuracy that they drive and win. That's nuts.
Yeah, so it'd be fun to kind of see on the highest level too.
That's gonna be fun. You're gonna be the evening event that weekend. I think Charles Leclerc is gonna be there.
Yes. So my goal is to try to tell Charles that I got the fastest lap time. Ask him.
Ask him for some speed secrets at Montreal.
Yeah. What should I ask him? Like, where he thinks he's shaving time off, or
ask him. Say what's the most important corner, or what's your one single tip to being fast at Montreal.
I think we'll ask him what's the one single. I'll share that with you guys too. So, well, I think that's pretty well sums up Atlanta.
Yeah, I think that's pretty good recap of last 2 weekends.
Yeah.
So definitely lots of interesting stuff happening. So
yeah, it's fun. The points race. Now David leaped surreal by 1 point. So now he's in second place. I got the lead. I just really need to maintain, just keep it on the podium. Obviously, I'll take second place all day long if that's what's going to win me the
championship,
the North American Championship. That's the end goal. I just basically don't need to wreck. I just need to keep finishing somewhere in that top 3, and it will all come to fruition.
Yeah, no, you've been really consistent. So
So I just got to be in the top.
Be consistent.
Just got to be
That's
top
what you got you in
3.
the lead right now.
Yep. So.
All right, guys. Thank you for tuning in for the 3rd episode of Challenge Chats. You can find us on all the streaming services. So video will be on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music. So we'll post links in the bios. You can look on the Ron Tonkin Gran Turismo page. I'll post it on mine. RTGT Mr. Kevin O. Anderson. Cameron will post it on yours too.
Yeah, at Cameron sold it. Yeah.
Yeah. So looking forward to the next episode.
Thanks for tuning in. It was a great time.